on, and it says that we are live for the August 8th, 2024 Westlake Charter School board meeting. Welcome, everyone. Board President Golick, you have the YouTubes.
Thank you. For those watching us on YouTube, remember you can still make a public comment. Please email admin@westlakecharter.com. On the subject line, put the matter you want to provide comment on, and please keep it to 250 words. We'll make every effort to read it in during the meeting. However, if by chance it's not read in, it will be provided to the board and made part of the minutes. With that, we'll go ahead and take the roll.
Hope?
Here.
Sean?
Here.
Josh?
Here.
Meredith?
Here.
Amber?
Here.
Suzanne?
Here.
Nurali?
Here.
Amy?
Here.
And Ann.
Thank you. That brings us to celebrations. Who would like to go first? Okay, Sean.
Same one that I used in governance, which is that with the arrival of the newest freshman class at Westlake Charter High School, which includes my son, we now have our full complement of 9 through 12, which I think is a pretty big celebration.
Whoop, whoop, let's go. All right. I did stand at the gate as we welcomed in all 500 of our students. And I mean, as the seniors walked in, you got a little, hey, you're a senior. It felt real. We were a K-12 for sure. Yeah. Which direction we going?
I'll go Nurali this time.
Oh, pressure.
I was just thinking about what to celebrate because there's so much to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate Meet the Teacher. In particular, I think having it in the afternoon was such a great idea. I know it's in the middle of the day in between work time frames, but it got into, as a first grader, I had a chance to reconnect with all their kinder families that may not be in my daughter's classroom, and got a chance to really meet with all the booths that are outside, so everything from Jive to our new wave president, to just like everyone on campus. And I think that idea was so great because then there were like little hangout sessions that were happening afterwards with all the kids super excited.
Totally.
So I just want to celebrate the start of the school year with that as well.
I will give a shout out to everyone who helped over on the East Commerce campus. They've got a lot of partners over there to help get it together over summer. You got Noe Lopez coordinated through NUSD to get portables dropped in. Michael Sands and his team helped expand the Oasis. There's an agreement on their consent tonight that will allow us to park officially on the street. So the new owners, we worked out an agreement with them. The Buzz Oats team helped get things installed. So just a lot of people helped kind of continue to improve that campus. So just celebrate them.
Yeah, good stuff.
For sure.
Josh.
I want to celebrate the Grow Your Own program. When my son was in first grade, he had a long-term sub, Mr. Hatch. Loves Mr. Hatch. And they have been separated now until 6th grade. And now they are back together.
Let's go.
Couldn't be happier. Word on the street is he's not the only one that loves Mr. Hatch.
Everyone.
He's quite popular.
Everyone loves Mr. Hatch, yeah.
He's very good at what he does, and if that doesn't prove the program's working, I don't know what else does.
Yeah, good call.
Meredith?
I will piggyback on Steve's and really Nurali's too, and I'll celebrate just everyone who came together at our high school campus on the first day. It's a real privilege to work with so many people who are like, how can I help people and how can I solve people? Every colleague that I ever thought to see was, how can I help? How can I direct students? How can I use kind but clear language to get kids where they needed to be when we had this expansion of, where am I going? I didn't come to open house. And everybody was working just so hard to make sure kids had what they needed and really felt comfortable and safe moving throughout the building. So yeah, big thank you to everybody who stepped in.
Love it.
I'm going to celebrate the high school campus as well. It's been really cool to watch it evolve over really 3.5 years from when we first stepped foot, and then watching it become what it is. Because I think a couple years ago, people are like, 500 kids are never going to fit in here. You're never going to get that to happen. And it's happening.
Yeah.
And I think the addition of the portables, while we were a little nervous about it, and the space, it worked out really well. So it was really exciting to see. And then those parking spots are really cool. That was what I drove there intentionally when I saw that they were there just to see all the parking spots.
I love it. That's so funny.
seniors. I'm going to celebrate the fact that we are kicking off our 20th year.
Let's go.
We're celebrating, I'm going to get this wrong, but it'll be close. 20 years of joyful learning, and that's what our community has done and continues to do, and we demonstrate that in all that we do. And so I'm really looking forward to all the celebrations we have coming this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year. I've told this story a couple of times. It rolls off the tip of my tongue because it just warms my heart. I love me some Link Crew. I love our web leaders as well. I think we do these orientation programs. We pretend like it's for the ninth graders, but really it's for the juniors and seniors that we're teaching to be leaders. And on the first day of school, I watched a young ninth grader show up to school, Velcroed to his parents. And it was like, you're gonna be fine. Get in there, right? And this young ninth grade young man went into orientation in the Oasis and immediately found a little table all by himself, right? And it's intimidating. You got 100 and some odd people there, and a 12th grade Link Crew leader who's been a Westlake Charter School student since he was in kindergarten. This young man is now a 12th grader. Walked right over to that ninth grade young man, looked at him, started talking him up. Kid kind of sat up straighter, got up from his table, and wandered and got mixed into a group of kids. And I was like, oh, that is it right there. So it was just such a great example of who we are, what we try to do every day. But the Link Crew program really kind of amplifies that moment. So it was really a cool moment for everyone.
Talk about growing your own.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we worked on that one for a long time.
Let's keep
We've been
that
growing
one.
that one for 13 years.
You can come back in 5, though.
That's right. Yeah. I'll get you a credential, no problem.
I'm gonna celebrate the fact that we have hired yet another Westlake kiddo.
Yeah, that's right.
This application came in, I'm like, I know that name, maybe the same person, but I haven't seen this person since they were in kindergarten. Kid comes in, sits down, I'm like, yeah, you're the same kid I knew in kindergarten. And he was like, hey! And he is a student at Yuba College, and he's getting a business degree. He thinks.
Awesome.
I actually think he's going to become a teacher. We have placed him as part of our PE program, and he is as tall as Steve, no joke. And
guy.
you should see him with these littles at kindergarten at PE. It is the best, and he is loving his life and digging into Westlake. So full circle.
He told me, he said, I was with first grade today. They were so little, but it was a lot of fun.
They were. I saw one of them coming out, and they were literally like, he could have stepped over them.
Yeah.
But he's amazing, and it's wonderful to see him back on campus.
Yeah, he's doing a great
I
job.
think that also counts as Screw Your Own.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, I don't usually do a double celebration, but I have to.
Do the double.
The first one is our AS Live, After School Live. Miss Alejandra is rocking it, but then also I had parents who were like legitimately looking at the handout during Meet the Teacher. We're like, wait, what? You have pottery?
Right.
Oh my gosh, wait, there's a magic club? Like, they were super excited about like the diverse offerings that we have this fall. And so just like shout out to all the people who do that work and who coordinate with all of those different vendors and the different providers. Like, it's such powerful work that you do, and the parents notice, the kids are excited about it. So like, cool, it's super cool. And then the other one, just real quick, was the work with Dr. Holly. I cannot start this school year without celebrating the impact that Dr. Holly has had for staff members. We had a PD with this amazing individual. If you're not familiar, I highly recommend that you look up any of the work that he has done. And just like daily conversations over staff lunch and in planning meetings, like the ideas and the intentionality and like the heart that he has kind of given, like sparked these conversations, these ideas, these feelings of just true outrageous love for our students. And it wasn't lip service, and it wasn't like, okay, that was PD, now back to our real jobs. It was like, oh no, like we're still talking about it, we're still trying it, we're still doing it, we're still collaborating around it. And so, well done to the amazing individuals who were like the brains in the room who made that happen for him to come to our school, because powerful. It like truly has been powerfully transformational for anyone who was in the room with him.
We had all 189 staff members, the entire staff classified and certificated in the room. That's cool.
And we are all better because of it,
Yeah,
truly.
that's cool.
Truly.
I'm gonna do two as well, two different ones. So I'm the director of another charter school, which is a non-classroom based charter school, different, and we got to have Jeanette Mexics come today and do a training for us on AI, which was just mind-blowing, and our teachers were super excited. But our other celebration is we also hired Christina Ike, she is one of our newest credential teachers, homeschool teachers, so we are super blessed and we're glad to have her.
Yeah. I heard Jeanette Mixes crushed it today. I was really proud of Mixie out there presenting. It was good.
With that, are there any board comments for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to public comment. John, will you look at the email? Can we check in with Ms. Higas at the high school campus?
Let's do that. Keegan, do you have anybody over at the high school campus looking to make a board comment?
Let me see. I'm looking at the cameras. And outside, no one's here to make a public comment.
All right, thanks, Keegan. Appreciate you. And I also have no public comments in the email inbox.
Thank you. That will bring us to tonight's reports. Our first report is the WAVE report from Felix.
All right.
Yep.
All right, mic check, there we go. All right, well, thanks, it's good to see familiar faces again and see everyone in here. Early on in WAVE, but as most of y'all are, we're hitting the ground running and doing what we need to do. This marks my official second month of being in the position and getting us to where we need to be. I'm seeing this year basically be kind of our main focus as a resetting the foundation for WAVE. What that basically looks like for us is to kind of improve the effectiveness of our operations, of how we actually function as a group, and then two, to really improve on both the quantity and quality of the parent experience as they come in. And so for outcomes and what we're looking for this year basically is to, one, create kind of an accurate and sustainable budget that we can be able to, that reflects the operational focus of the actual organization. Two, just to redefine culture and clarify role expectations around the board and the volunteer experience. And then on the outcome side, look for reaching a goal of 5,000 volunteer hours at the school. Last year we hit 2,000, so I'm hopefully more than doubling that. And then working as a kind of minor goal of 75 unduplicated families involved in the program. That would equal to about 5% of what we have. In my experience, typically when you get to somewhere near 10 to 15% of parent experience and involvement, you tend to be at pretty high numbers of like families get involved. So kind of a small step for, the first year to hit like 5% or so. July and August, yeah. The July, for the most part, focused a lot on team building, expectation setting, and just role clarification. So we had a summit, kind of getting us on the same page, worked on some managerial training. We're a skeleton crew of 4 folks, and so there's still some board positions that are open. I'll make a plug for that later on. And then we just immediately jumped into school calendaring and event support for the school. This looked like early highlights of like kinder screenings, which I had an awesome time kind of being able to work with Ms. Gallenbohr out front and talk to the parents that I was literally in their seats a year beforehand. We're able to greet and meet new families. We had 8 families immediately from there want to volunteer to be either class ambassadors or part of the programs and sign up for opportunities. Meet the teacher, we hosted a uniform swap. That was a great win, helping dozens of families donate or acquire new clothing. We also had our QR codes and volunteer information. We probably had 6 people sign up immediately right after that, and we're seeing stuff starting to trickle in. So we're getting already from the start a chance for us to be able to get people involved easily and hopefully in an efficient way as well. Next for us is the launch of the Classroom Ambassador Program. So that's coming back. Last year it kind of had a false start, and it seemed to be an important program for the school, something that's been mentioned to me since I've gotten the position that we should bring this back. It's coming back. We already have about 14 parents who've already signed up We just put the site link for people if they want to get involved on Monday. There's still more promotion to go on. It's kind of been a soft launch, but obviously the enthusiasm for that's there. And then obviously Olympic Triathlon. We got to be able to kick that off, and so I'll probably be working with Ashley soon on scheduling a kickoff launch for that again. And then the goal right now, tentatively, is having a $40,000 fundraising goal for it. It's a little bit, I think, lower than what the $44,000, if I'm not mistaken, from last year. I would love for us to break 50, but again, I think with the scouts and crew being somewhat modest in our goal, if we beat it, great. But the idea is to kind of at least hit in a tangible one that we go from there. Yeah, and like I said, we're still looking for committee chairs and kind of have some board positions available. So if you know anyone who's interested in kind of more committed, long-term volunteer, opportunities within WAVE, please send them my way. I don't know if this is a chance for questions or anything, but.
Sure. Any questions for our WAVE president?
Oh, I have one. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you to join the WAVE organization or be on a committee, how do they do that?
It's simple enough. They can hit WAVE, WCS@gmail.com. The Facebook group has been one where people reached out and DM'd me on that. Obviously, if they even just contact the front desk and they can send them my way. So hopefully it's as easy as that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. We'll talk Olympic Triathlon soon. Let's get together. Let's go. Let's go.
That brings us to the Charter Impact Committee report. We didn't have a quorum this month, so we didn't meet. Development Committee, Josh.
Development Committee, we are starting our 24-25 school year. We started that off in July, was kind of some pre-planning, circling back. It's good to see things in motion. We want to really reach out to businesses to see if they can help support field lessons. And it's good to see one of the items on consent consists of some of those business donations through the Blackbird Giving Fund. So again, if you're out there and your business or a business you work for would love to help explorers and help get everybody out to field lessons, reach out to us, the Explorer Partners. We'll make it happen. We'll do the legwork. Just get us some contact info.
That's good.
Perfect. Thank you. Sean, the Finance Committee.
So we met in July and had a really good presentation from Steve on the seemingly ever-changing economic outlook. And after that, we voted to bring forth an item that's on tonight's agenda to accept and approve certificated one-time fund allocation.
Perfect. Governance Committee did meet tonight. We focused mostly on items I and J that are on tonight's consent agenda. We do have just some number changing for those, so I'll address that when we get to the consent item. But otherwise, they were recommended for adoption, very similarly to how they are in the folder. With that, I will kick it over to Dr. Ike for his report.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2024-2025 school year. Let's go. I'm very excited about what we have coming up this year. It's going to be an exciting year. It's going to launch with a celebration that will be lasting all year, and that is that we are celebrating 20 years of joyful learning. Is us coming out of the gates with a concept that we're going to celebrate all year. We opened up in 2005. We are about to graduate the graduating class of 2025. We will celebrate 20 years of what we do, which is joyful learning. You may see a T-shirt on your desk that's got that logo right there. Keegan says if you need a swap on sizes, she's got more sizes being ordered right now. But we'd love to have you all celebrating 20 years of joyful learning. We have a committee that's come together and started to shape out what does that look like. Are we going to do a sign planting in the dirt at some point? Are we going to bring people together in certain ways and celebrate this? So wanted to launch with that. We have lots to celebrate as we open up the school year. I do have some strategic actions to talk about and then updates like enrollment and things like that. Summer intervention was awesome this year. Big shout out to all of our teachers who put together summer intervention. Our principal met a bunch of kindergartners out in the park for a kindergarten play date where they got to get to know each other. And then just welcoming back our staff. We are bigger than we've ever been. We now have we're K-12, and along with not only K-12 teachers, but classified staff members as well. I think you'll see on a slide later, I think we're at 189 human beings wearing matching T-shirts. Yeah, so we had a great, welcome, great time welcoming back our staff, all across both campuses. This is just kind of a cute little moment right here where we got together on the playground to take our staff photo, and we just have a time-lapse video of what it looks like when 189 people are trying to make sure that their face can be seen by the camera. Thanks to Meredith Galloway for operating the camera. She hit the timer and ran backwards like, but it is wild to recognize, for those of you who've been here for a long time, we used to be, a little mom and pop shop with just a couple of us all in one place, but now we're full 189 staff members that still fit on the playground, which is wonderful. So welcome back, Explorer staff. Welcome back, families. We had, boo-hoo, wahoo, wahoo, boo-hoo, woo-hoo this morning. We had tons of families on campus on the K-8, but we also had several families show up at the high school as well and came through the gate, and I got a chance to talk to people and welcome them as they were walking on campus and checking it out. And of course, welcome back our amazing students. You can just see them all across both campuses. Just doing what we do. It's an exciting time for sure. Meet the teacher on both campuses, big success. Lots of people on both campuses, and some people traveling between two campuses and trying to find parking in and around either campus. A little tricky, but it was a great event. And you heard me shout out the Link crew and Web crew earlier, but I just tell you what, these two programs are phenomenal, and the people who are doing the work on the two campuses are just magical. Our staff who lead these programs are so dedicated and really pour into the leaders, and then those leaders really pour into the onboarding the sixth graders and the ninth graders. Tons of fun. And there's our freshman orientation as the ninth graders entered through a gauntlet that included students and staff. I got to be one of those staff members. That was super fun. I'm like, whoa! It was so fun, so fun. That's our ninth group orientation. Oh, I thought we'd have a picture in here of Webb. I guess I blew that. And of course, summer athletics. Our athletics program, which we were very proud of, doesn't stop. I know we had cross country runners running this summer. We had basketball camps going on this summer, and I've just saw a drawing for a new volleyball sweatshirt that came across my inbox this morning. We are primed and ready to go to launch fall athletics. We're all very, very excited about it. Strategic actions. Let's see what we've got. We launched our first 5. These are our first 5 days of training, team building, and professional development. A little web link over there, that little blue click right there on the Westlake Weekly took our staff to a splash page so they know what was coming. In the area of training, this is really important for us to say first, right? We cover our health and safety protocols, emergency preparedness, our school-wide procedures. We did CPR every other year. We did CPR last year. But all of the actionables we walked through. So staff members got up and walked out and found out where they'll line up their students. And at the high school, because the Oasis expanded, we had to walk out and be like, okay, which door am I exiting from now? And now the doors have a beep, 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 beep alarm on them. So there's lots of do we push it? But we had to walk through those drills because if you walk through them regularly, then in an event of an actual emergency, we all know what to do. So the trainings were critically important. The team building to me is a critically important part of what we do. At one point we had 189 team members, all in matching shirts, all in the gymnasium, high-fiving, handshaking, hugging, sharing stories, building team. It's a couple of hours. We could be in our classroom setting up. I always go, is it too much? But I always look around the room and I see everybody starting the year smiling, meeting new people. If you're new to the organization, you recognize, whoa, this place feels like family, and that's how I want everyone to start the year. And so selfishly, I make sure that we share stories, build team, and prepare relationships first to launch the school year. And this is what Amy Rice was talking about. We launched our professional development series this year on the very first day with a guest speaker, Dr. Shiraki Hawley. He speaks on culturally and linguistically responsive teaching and learning, and it is like, in fact, we are now trying to figure out how to capture, he allowed us to video him, how to capture some of the critical moments throughout the day and encapsulate them into our Everest Academy so that if board members are interested or future teachers that we hire who missed out on the opportunity could be brought into the fold on these learnings. He comes out right away and says, look, to be culturally responsive and to be linguistically responsive, we got to know why we're doing it, and we're doing it to increase academic achievement. Our children will do better in school which is our purpose, joyful learning. They will do better in school if we are responsive in the way that we communicate with them and recognize what cultural value they bring to the table, and linguistically making sure that we're understanding how, when they speak, that we are not misinterpreting the way they speak. And he just did a phenomenal job of setting us up for success. Talked about validating and affirming students, and then building and bridging students to academic language, academic success. Really, I mean, I can't do it justice in one slide, but really powerful when you say that teaching through outrageous love means that when I potentially misinterpret what you're saying or doing, because I recognize that maybe what you're doing is culturally appropriate, but maybe doesn't perfectly fit in the academic setting, I'm going to first just validate and affirm you. Hey, what you're doing is what you're doing because you're you, and you're a perfect version of you. And we love you outright. If you start there, well, everything else that comes after that's fine. Right? If you start with this outrageous love, this affirmation, and this validation, then we build and we bridge to improve academic achievement. If you want to go deep into it, I can certainly bring back a whole riff on it. But he was phenomenal, and he's going to come back in February, late January. He's coming back for a one day in February, but between now and February, we've got a lot of work to do. We'll be doing some Everest bites, and we'll be doing some we have a committee that's going to get together and keep this learning alive throughout the year. And then when he comes back in February, we'll do another touch-up, and then we'll bring it back around in the spring. So very exciting way for us to start our work. Hey, we are Natomas. We are Westlake Charter School. We recognize that we are in the most ethnically and racially diverse community, potentially in the nation. So to be cognizant of culturally and linguistically responsive teaching and learning, yeah, this was a home run. Great for us. We loved it. I've been referencing Everest Academy. As you know, we've developed Everest Academy through our capacity building TOSAs and a team to make sure that we can house professional learning in a space that doesn't disappear if somebody leaves the organization. So we're going to do a whole series on universal design for learning. And then we're going to hire somebody new next year. They will have missed it. But because it's in Everest, that person can get caught up to speed and engage in professional learning. We don't lose our professional learning. So we just went through 8 hours of training with Dr. Hawley. If we could bring Dr. Hawley's work into Everest, then it will be there for the teachers that we hire next year. That's why we built Everest, and that's what we're really excited about. We utilized Everest, though, for the first time in First 5 as a place to be like, hey, here's some getting to know you pieces. Look through Everest. It's going to introduce you to the different people in the organization. We're going to do some of the Herman Brain work in there. Some of the scope. Hey, you and your team are going to get together and scope and sequence. Some of the mandated trainings, bloodborne pathogens, things like that. All housed in Everest, which made for a very nice, I can come to this platform and I can know what I'm doing over these 5 days and kind of go through it either individually or as a team or as a whole school. So really proud of the evolution of Everest and the way we're starting to utilize it as we go. Those are my strategic actions. I'm going to dive into updates unless anybody has a pause. Cause for pause. Super excited about staffing. I just want to start with that header. K-12 staffing. That's it. We are at K-12 for the first time in school history. We have 91. Wow. 91 certificated teachers on special assignments, school psychologists, and counselors. We have 6 180-day full-time substitute teachers now. We've had those positions in the past, but this year we did something different. We're like, hey, you want to come to the First 5? Do you want to sit next to Amy Rice while we meet Shiraki Hawley? Do you want to go through the First 5 and learn the cultural values of this organization, high five, handshake, and hug, and be part of the family? Do you want to come to all the PDs? Do you want to start coming to staff meetings because, hey, you're an 8-hour employee, we'd love to. So we used to be like, well, you're a sub, you show up in the morning, you leave in the afternoon, but we're like, you are so much more powerful if you're actually one of us. And so we changed our practices, and already we're like, seeing the difference. We have 79 classified staff members who make the whole place go around, and we are just so lucky to have them. And we even had some coaches who showed up to our First 5 culture building. It was rad. It was great. We have 9 certificate administrators and 4 classified directors and deans. We have vendor support, as you know. We have law and order. So we talk about all these staff members we have, but none of them are trimming the hedges. These guys are. right? We have Clean It, right? All these people up here, but these people coming in at night as vendors. They're really part of our family, part of our team. And then we have some student support services providers. Our speech language pathologists are not technically on staff. They are provided through vendors. So, I mean, look how big we've gotten, right? We're 189 proper, but plus, right? So we're probably over 200 paid employees making this whole thing happen on a daily basis. Ooh-wee. Enrollment, super exciting. I want to talk about matriculation, right? Remember back in the day, we're like, ooh, not all of our fifth graders go to our sixth grade program. And right now in the 2024, we had 103 or 92% of our fifth graders go to sixth grade, which means not a lot of kids are shopping the other middle schools to get to the other high schools. Some still are, mostly because of siblings. My sister goes to NP3, so I'm going to NP3. But we're seeing that thing trickle off. Let me just give you a quick flashback. Back in 2015, I got here in 14 or 13 or anyway. Back then, only 76% of our fifth grade students matriculated to our sixth grade, and back then we were only 3 wide, right? That was before we were 4 and 4. So a lot more kids matriculating from fifth to sixth. Now let's talk high school. You remember? Did I put the date up there? Maybe, I don't know. Yes, 23, 24. That's last year. So last year, you'll remember, we were like, we got 60. We got 60 eighth graders to come to our little high school in a warehouse there. He's like, that's not a real school. Yeah? Well, guess what happened this year? This year, you got 78. 78 of 112 eighth graders came to our high school. Now, that is 70% of that class, which means they are 54% of that class, right? Because we have 145 freshmen. So 54% of all freshmen this year were Westlake eighth graders last year. Kind of cool, man. Because the previous year, we only had 41% of our ninth grade class were Westlake charter eighth grade students. So I just think that's a great matriculation pattern. I'm going to tell you, this is only our 4th year. We finally got seniors. I've worked with Silicon Schools now for, half a decade. We've been hanging with those guys for 5 years. And back before we ever had a high school charter petition even done, they're like, hey, don't count on this happening. This is not what's going to happen. You're going to have like 80 kids in your freshman class and 30 of them are going to leave. Budget for like 85 kids. I mean, it's going to be a slow growth. And yeah, very proud of that work. Very proud of that work. Any questions on that? Sorry, I'm like racing through. Enrollment, we have 1,000 students enrolled in our kindergarten through 8th grade program, which is full capacity. All seats are filled. And our current K-8 wait list is 1,414. And I'll show you the high school wait list as well. All in total, we're like 1,516 students on the wait list. But 1,414 for 1,000 seats is, it's strong. That's strong. High school enrollment, let's just kind of wander through. We're calling that 145 students because you have 142 with 3 pending. At the time we built the slides, I think one of them showed up this morning because I saw him at the gate and talked to his parents. So, yeah, I think we're at 114. We do have 58 on the wait list. Did I say 114? I mean 140. 142. We're shooting for 145. We have plenty on the wait list, and we'll keep... if those 3 pending fall off, we'll keep going until we get 145. And you'll see why, because it totals out to 500. We have 135 in the 10th grade with 16 on the wait list. We have 105 in the 11th grade, 16 on the wait list, and 116 in 12th grade, 12 on the wait list. And we're budgeted for 500 students, and that right there equals 500. You remember in the facility use agreement, we're allowed to have 3% of leeway. We were at one point just a week or 2 ago at like 505. But we knew that. We were like, okay, we're going to roll down to 500 is the way it's going to work. So we feel really good about that. Enrollment's strong. And I got to tell you, the high school is just so great right now. It has really got a great vibe. Okay. So what's happening at school this week? At the K-8, we had Meet the Teacher. Morning Lineup's been rocking. We had the Boo-Hoo, Woo-Hoo. And then kindergarten conferences are happening through tomorrow, right? So... kinder families are all meeting with their kinder teacher. And then the events at the high school, I mean, this picture right here, if you don't tear up a little bit, you might want to check for a heartbeat. Like, I'm telling you, this, This senior sunrise is just so special to me. These kids went out there 2 days before school, a day before school, and had their senior sunrise, which is great. We've obviously had our link leaders, our upperclassmen link leaders shepherd in our ninth graders. And we do have an expanded Oasis. Last year's slide, same slide, was like, oh, we have a black box theater now. And so I was like, well, we have some other construction. It's hard to see, but this is this beautiful, this used to be a fence back here behind this planter, and behind the fence was dumpsters, and, a blacktop, and that's where we had. But now we tore the fence down and put new seating wall blocks back here, so kids on either side of this planter can sit down. You have your portables back there. There's Ms. Grimaldi's room. Everybody loves Ms. Grimaldi's room. We got these new shade structures. We have 2 installed. We have 2 more coming, and something like squishy, cool, vibey outdoor seating. It's really great. The Oasis is expanded and really has a cool vibe. Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns about that? Cool. After my presentation, we're going to hear a cool WASC presentation by Dr. Galloway to round out mine. But I do have an update to the dashboard. And put on your thinking caps, because we're all going to learn. If you're not learning, I'll be like, I'll just turn it over to you, because I had to learn a bunch. Like, wait, what is happening? We got a new addition to the dashboard that has come out. We have the opportunity to present on it and do some learning around it. And then we as a school or administrative community have a ton to learn about how to make it better. I'll explain. So we've been presenting on the local indicator, local indicator 1, which is basic teacher instructional materials and facilities. And back in June, we reported on these 2 pieces here, materials, facilities, and teacher assignments. We reported on, and we've met standards. And we still meet standards. But the state has finally come out with this TAMO. That's what I'm calling it, TAMO, which is a quantifiable metric that demonstrates on the dashboard your teacher assignments. So we've always said, we met. And we still met, but we now have a quantified table that goes onto the dashboard, and this table comes out of good old AB 1219, Chapter 782 statute of 2019. Yeah. Remember that? Remember that?
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was pre-COVID.
So 2019, somebody said, hey, we're going to do a thing. And then in 2021, the following happens. I'm not going to say we missed it, but I'm going to say it was 2021. Remember where we were? Right. So here's what happens in 2021. For California to meet the federal requirements outlined in ESSA, Every Child Succeeding Act, California has to ask the California Department of Education to commission the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, just throwing in some acronyms, to create a teaching assignment monitoring outcomes process, TAMO, which the CTC actually calls CalSAS, the California Statewide Assessment Accountability System. Oh, I'm not even started. There's more. But let's rewind. We have the California State Dashboard really because at the federal level, we have ESSA, right? The Every Student Succeeding Act. That's not every child. Yeah, it is student. Yeah, that's a typo. My fault. So we have the California State Dashboard because ESSA at the federal level says to every state, hey man, you guys got to get all on one page about some type of accountability. You have to come up with some kind of dashboard. Call it whatever you want. We called it a dashboard. It's very clever. So slowly now we've been rolling out these pieces to be in compliance with ESSA at a state level. So the state's trying to stay in compliance with the feds. You're going to see some things that aren't compliant in a moment, but I think we're all trying. The California Department of Education receives CalPADS, which is California Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System, CalPADS data, and then sends it to the CTC. So this is fascinating. Now we have these interdepartmental, massive data dump. Hey, we got the data. We send it to you guys. The California Commission for Teacher Credentialing then processes the data in compliance with ESSA's standards. And this is where we start to go wait a minute. There's some California rules that we're following that check the box, but they are they don't meet the federal guidelines. And we're going to see that come up in a minute. One of the important things is that the reports are based on full-time equivalencies. We want to talk about that. If you are a second grade teacher in a second grade classroom, you are a teacher, you're one teacher, and you have 100% of your teaching assignment is second grade. Pretty easy to calculate. But if you are 6 periods a year at the high school, and 4 of them are English, but 2 of them are an elective, are you credentialed appropriately? Well, as a teaching assignment over here you are, but over here you may or may not be, depending on ESSA. The state of California might say, yeah, you can do that. You can teach world dance if you're a world language credentialed person. State of California is like, you can do that. Turns out the feds are like, you can't do that. We're going to check a little box of that. Fascinating. So, that's okay, we're learning. So, this is what I wanted to show because I was kind of deep diving into the videos. It was very clear. On the CTC website, when you go to read about this, they're like, hey, in 2019, the California Department implemented a complete overhaul of these state. And then down here they say, we coordinated numerous trainings and outreach sessions. So they're trying to cover front page of their website. We trained everybody. In 2021, when everybody was focused on this, I'm like, okay, you covered yourself. You're right. The data that's coming is not my favorite data in the world because I don't think we did great. Now we're like, okay, we're going to go learn how to do great. And we've done our own numbers. And had we done it, had we been trained in 2021, I think we would have been better off. But let's take a look. We have, according to this report, we have 52 teachers in our local education agency back in 21-22, which produces these results. And what you see is like the percentage of teachers who are clear, like cleared credential. You're a second grade teacher, multiple subject credential, you're 100%. The 4 and 2, oh, we're missing a couple. We were above the county, and the county was above the state, and that's kind of the way it should go. And then you jump to the 23 report based on 2022, 2023 data, and you see right here, right here, we are below the district, county, and state, and we're like, what?
How is that possible?
What changed? It's based on reporting. So we have. So I said, and so begins our opportunity to learn.
What is ineffective mean?
Well, you're going to find out on slide number 137. This is where it's coming. Let's talk through it.
That's a huge percentage.
We certainly believe this to be inaccurate. You're going to find on the final slide that we actually we calculate it correctly now that we understand the calculation, and we will now learn to report it. You can't go back and change this, and I am in an argument right now of whether or not we can even change it for next year. Because last year, the 2023-2024 data was collected on October through CalPads, and it's up there in the great state of California, and I don't think they're going to let us tweak it. So it might be 2 years before we have it fixed. Our job right now, though, is to make sure this is reported correctly this October, and now we know the game. Let's take a look. I think just to be clear, I think a clear teacher is like we talked about. Second grade teacher with a multiple subjects credential, they're 100% clear. English teacher with an English credential, they are clear. All right, what's an out of field? This is a fully credentialed teacher who is authorized by the state as long as they're making progress toward an appropriate credential. Let's say you have an English credential, but you get hired to be a 6th grade humanities teacher. You can totally do that. We can check with the state. State says you can do that as long as they're getting a supplemental credential in social science and they're making progress toward that. So the state of California says you can totally do that, but they're going to be considered out of field on this new ESSA requirement. And right here, you can see the Every Student Succeeding Act reporting versus the assignment monitoring, right? So this is the ESSA category. And this is the legally assigned according to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. So we call and we go, hey, I got this person who's got an English credential, We're gonna have them teach humanities. They're in college getting their social science credential. Are we good on that? They go, yeah, you're good on that. And then you get this report, they go, well, we're gonna call that out of field. Oh, right? Okay. Interns are interns, right? The number of teaching interns is going to increase. We know that. We have several interns this year. We're utilizing interns to fill positions. They have an internship mentor. They are in college to get their credential. But it's a 2-year process. And back when this data was pulled, right, we only had one intern, right? So going forward, we're going to see that number increase. That's okay. I don't think these two right here are really a ding. I mean, it's like, hey, this is what we're okay. But what this term ineffective is really stings. And this is where we just botched it on the reporting because our data shows we are below both of these numbers. When we get there, I'll show you. So, interns, are okay. Did I put the wrong? All right, let's take a look. So provisional intern permits or short-term teaching permits are allowed by the state, but not by ESSA. So that's step one. So these short-term permits that we utilize to get teachers in the classrooms, we go to the state and go, hey, are you sure? This is okay, right? We're not breaking any rules? You're not breaking any rules, you're fine. That's the state of California. Well, that's fine, you could do that. The feds are gonna call that ineffective. We're like, oh, man. So there is some of that, but there is not 50. I mean, that would be like 9 teachers, right? Like, that's just not real. So we're looking into like how we've misreported that. And I'm gonna show you what we found. But so when reporting a teacher who teaches more than one course, there's a way to report the teaching assignment versus the teacher assignment. If you assign me to teach humanities in middle school, I'm teaching a block of English, which I have an English credential, and I'm teaching a block of social science. I don't have a social science credential, right? So I get a short-term permit for that, and you end up, if you report me as a teacher with the short-term teaching permit, 100% of me is now calculated as ineffective. But we should report me as a teacher on a short-term permit. They should say this portion of his teaching assignment. So if you look at this right here, Mr. Mejia teaches 3 maths and 2 histories, right? And Mr. Mejia has a math credential. And so if you take 5 classes and you take 100% of his teaching day, then it's 0.2 or 20% per class. So Mr. Mejia is out of, and this one's out of field, but he's out of field, or in this case, be ineffective for 0.4 of his day. So when you calculate all these up, you should end up with a number that's much smaller than that. Okay, it's a learn, check, and we've been reporting CalPADS for years. It's just never showed up in this way. Now we're like, oh, now it is. Now we've learned. This is the actual calculation, though, that we have for this year. And we took our time, and we went back, and we fought over like, well, that one is, well, this is so-and-so. And some of them don't even work here anymore. We really scratched. The state thought we had 58 FTE. We think we had 61 FTE. The state thought we had 78. We think we have 85. We were pretty close on the out of field. We were spot on the interns, but look at the ineffective rate. So we believe that we believe that these numbers is what should have been reported. I think we are the problem. I think we, in our reporting through CalPADS, have reported improperly, and so it's on us to fix the problem. I think we will appeal and be told there was ample training. That's what we're gonna be told, because we haven't last time. So yeah, so it's, luckily, even though we read this and go, oh my gosh, we read this and it's alarming. We still meet. So when he says, hey, did you meet for local area 1? Yes, we've met standard. But just nobody likes to be outperformed by anybody else, so it stings a little bit. And so this is a new portion of your dashboard. So you're gonna have a Tomo on your dashboard. Tomo, Tamo, Tomo, Tomo, Tomo. Oh, Tomahawk.
So I have sorry, it's a weird question and it doesn't necessarily apply to us, but I'm still curious.
Sure.
So nowhere on this though, does it show the number of state positions you had open all year and never filled with an FTE? Does that make sense? Like,
Well, you
I
would
feel
have
like this
no.
isn't giving us credit.
No, you would have had an ineffective teacher assigned to that because you would have had a long-term sub. You had a 30-day sub rolling through there, and so you would have ended up with a. But hey, look, I'm going to be honest. If you're going to compare yourself to a large district who has a large data team who are in CalPads all the time, I got to be honest. We're a big admin team. We're mostly boots on the ground admin, forward facing. We don't have a large data team, and as the dashboard, you can see now multiple times we've been caught up in dashboard like we didn't. The district caught it. We didn't catch it. So they're playing the game somehow the right way because we know that this district, for example, has had open positions all year. But I mean, this is back in 21, 22, so I don't know.
And that number's only likely gone up, is first of all why I was thinking about it, right? Because we know more positions are remaining open for longer as we advance school years.
Yeah.
Based on what I've heard.
Yeah.
So I would assume part of that is made up in the incomplete category as well. That would not shock.
Okay, true story. There's also an interesting factor in that, like, this is a snapshot in October.
100%.
So like we had a teacher, I think in this year, we had a math teacher resign in September, maybe it's August, but we had an early resignation that got caught up here because we backfilled with a person who was then on a PIP. So, that if that person would have resigned in November, we'd be like, oh, you never know. We wouldn't have made that noise.
Yeah, I was just curious, just because.
Yeah.
And I get like Elk Grove, right? They have a whole person that's probably dedicated just to this.
Sure, and you'll see their data team's good partners with us, and we 100% can just lean on them and be like, guys, could you walk? And they will. Yeah. And we could have reached out 2 years ago. I just think we didn't.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, but we should have. We should have known. Anyhow, so yeah, I kind of walked.
Got noticed because last time they didn't tell us.
I didn't go down that rabbit hole because I've already been there.
I'm not
so
good.
There is a very interesting clause here. I mean, if you nerd out, if you go to the CTC website and look at their FAQs, just to throw another acronym in there.
Frequently asked questions.
Frequently asked questions. If you go under FAQs, there is a very interesting clause about how charters in this particular, the Tomo, the charters are treated differently because they don't have to report on special education staff because special education staff are federally funded. So charters get treated differently in this particular calculus, and so there's a couple other charter pieces in it that I started extrapolating, and I was like, well, I'm going way down the rabbit hole, and we will going forward now go down the rabbit hole, and were we maybe not notified in the same way that other LEAs were? It's plausible. It doesn't really matter because it's going to be on the dashboard. It's going to be something we want to fix before we get nearing our charter reauthorization. Anyway, so I don't want to say any questions on that, but any questions on that? Anything help to clarify? Raleigh.
My question really just, I know we talked about how last year we had another situation when it comes to kind of this dashboard. Is there any kind of, I know you mentioned we had a contact at USD that's really knowledgeable. Going forward, do you see kind of any sort of conversation that can happen on an annual, biannual basis to kind of be like, okay, are there any indicators that we're just haven't been notified about, just to kind of be more proactive?
Yeah, we should be better at the compliance piece. I got to be honest. It's just we don't have a compliance coordinator, right? I don't know that we have that bandwidth. Even looking at the number of policies that have come off the hill. I don't know if you've seen the governance packet, but it's it's a fast moving scenario. I think we should probably reach out to our partners at CCSA and say, hey, you guys are advising charters. What is the way where we can make sure without hiring a compliance coordinator that we can keep up with all of the changing compliance pieces? Yeah, I mean, I think when this came out, we were in the midst of a crisis and we missed it, but we should have onboarded on the rest of us. Yeah, good. Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, definitely not against our team or
No.
what can we definitely be more
Yeah.
proactive about to see if there is.
Yeah.
Charter authorization.
I mean, somebody didn't miss it, right? I mean, somebody didn't miss it. So people did better than we did, so somebody didn't miss it. So yeah, we got to figure out how to not miss it. Yeah.
Well, in those, I mean, in all honesty, you're comparing yourself against like the SCOE and large districts. It would be really interesting to have a charter meeting and see.
Yeah. Well, we looked at the charter data, and like we have 3 charter schools in Natomas. 2 of them look just like our data. We're like, oh, you guys missed it too? Oh, but you guys got it. Okay, so I'm gonna call them like, hey, how'd you know? So.
I mean, I have my guesses about
Totally,
because,
yeah.
Right, because again, the relationship.
The relationship's super tight, yeah.
Right, so that doesn't, that actually is exactly what I would have expected.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, we maybe set up an MOU with NUSD and their compliance team to be like, hey, keep us on point with the compliance mechanisms that they go for, maybe, who knows? Dr. Galway?
Yeah, I was just wondering how this potentially impacts the future electives we're able to offer,
That's a good
and
question.
whether it has an impact or not.
Yeah.
Think about what we offer right now and who teaches
Yeah.
what.
Yeah, I mean, first, getting the reporting done correctly so that if you teach one elective, you don't come up with 100% non-compliance. And the other thing is like, yes, so what? If we're still meeting standard, and you could teach a elective, and the state says you're able to put on the transcript that this elective has these 10 credits, then I don't know that we care at the end of the day.
That's probably best for the kids.
Yeah, I don't want to say, well, we got this great elective, we're going to take the legal studies elective away from laymen, who's just, everybody's excited about, because it's going to create some little dashboard widget, when in fact, like, the state of California is like, she's good. So I don't know. I think we had a great conversation about what does this mean, and is it more important than what we're trying to accomplish with the course catalog that we put together, that we're super proud of.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good note that we're not looking for perfection on that number. Like, I
Yeah.
think there needs to be an understanding that 100% isn't,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily attainable, particularly with how we want to run the
Yeah,
program.
and we may have to get very specific about that in our charter renewal. Hey, we're rocking a 8% ineffective rate intentionally, and here's why. We have 17 course offerings that we recognize are really important to our students, and the state of California says we're good to do it with these credentials.
Yep.
Yeah, so we just have to be specific about it. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, thank you, team. I am super excited about this next portion. It is an update from Dr. Galloway regarding WASC. I got you a clicker if you want to rock the clicker. And you could present from the seat right there, but if you want the podium, please, you knock yourself out.
I'll stay here.
Okay.
Like, I've never used this guy before, so we're going to play tonight.
Yeah, click away.
See how that goes. Well, hi, everybody. We're here to talk about WASC. It's been, I think, maybe almost 6 months since we've done a WASC update, and this year is a big year for us with WASC and a clicker that doesn't want to click for me. So
It just clicked for me.
That's fine.
Darn it.
It likes you better.
You know what?
Oh,
Let me try
it
that.
only likes you.
All right, try it again.
It doesn't like Steve either, just for the record.
So it's not
It needs
clicking?
to be
Oh,
noted somewhere.
Steve, we're on
He
the
doesn't
same
like Steve
team.
at all.
Okay,
So
you
bummer.
drive,
All right.
and we're just gonna try to
Yeah.
make that work. We got
Click.
this.
There we go.
So we're gonna talk tonight without a bunch of numbers at you, so that's a fun one to follow right there. So we're gonna talk about a little bit about what we're doing with WASC and why we're doing it, and then we'll also go on a little time journey with you back to 2001, and then forward into where we're going, hopefully at the end of this year. So a little bit of background on what we're doing with WASC. For those of you listening at home, or just like as a refresher, WASC is the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. It is the accrediting board for California high schools, universities, and colleges. WASC is something that when we open a high school, we are committed to pursuing, and it's important for our community, for the kids that we serve, for our teachers, for our staff, for a few reasons. So, and the first one is that trustworthiness. WASC is the body that ensures that when we think we are doing a high quality education, other people agree with us that what we are producing is trustworthy and trustable by other organizations. It matters for our students who are seeking college entrance, of course. This is absolutely critical for our students who are pursuing higher education in the state and outside of the state and globally as well. It matters for students who might transfer to another institution in our community and beyond our community. So if a student decides not to graduate with us for whatever reason, WASC is the process whereby they can have assurance that if they go to another school, their credits will transfer without a problem to that other institution. And then finally, for a portion of our students, it really matters for their visa eligibility and their potential future grant eligibility as well. It matters that they're from a WASC accredited school. So it's not something we're pursuing lightly. It's very important for our students and their community and members as well. So in short, like when we talk about WASC, WASC is, wants to know all these things, and they physically come and visit us, and we hand them this big, huge report, and we say, like, here's all the stuff we do for our kids. But really, like in short, they want to know 3 things about us. So they want to know that we know who we are, that we have not just a what, but a why. We have a vision, a purpose, a mission, and that all of our staff members and our community members are going in the same direction together. They want to know that we optimize opportunities, that when we receive students here, we love them outrageously. And we have, we open doors of opportunities. We don't close doors. We don't tell kids, no, that's not for you. We respect the choices they make for themselves, and we hope that we give them a strong boost into seeing themselves in lots of different capacities in the future. And then finally, that we're not done yet. WASC is a cyclical process, so it's not a one and done. You made it, you get a trophy. You get a 6-year accreditation, and then you enter your next accreditation cycle with WASC. So WASC wants us to make sure we're really committed to this idea of reflection, continuous improvement, and I think we're set up well, effectively and effectively, to do that with them. So that's what they're looking for us to tell them, to demonstrate to them in data and narrative, and also to see when they come visit us in May. So we're going to go on a little journey in time as well. So way back in 2001, if you remember, I'm happier than the last 2001 we were just talking about. We did a big thing in 2001, and here it is. Will it click?
Yeah, it might click.
Will it click? Oh, yeah.
Okay, Explorer families, we've said it before and we'll say it again.
We're opening a high school! And it does pause. Yes, I love it when the tech works. The clicker doesn't, but what can you do?
That's right.
So way back in 2021, we opened a high school, and that is Emily Batten shouting that from the rooftop there. Emily Batten was in charge of our initial WASC. She was our WASC coordinator when we opened our high school. So we invited WASC in our very first year. We were pretty audacious. So while we were doing masks and social distancing and what have you and opening our high school, we said, yeah, come on in, let's play. So they visited us virtually because we still weren't seeing people face to face then during our very first year and granted us preliminary accreditation in spring of 2022. Preliminary credential is what they give to all schools their first year, so it was a real vote of confidence, and they're saying, like, yep, you are now ready to enter into an accreditation cycle with us. So it was a very positive outcome for that one, and a big shout out to staff who participated in that their very first year. Like, I'm new here, but I believe, here I am, I'm on my screen with you.
That's right.
So a big shout out to lots of my colleagues who participated in that, and to Emily Batten who led that great work for us.
That's great.
So where are we now? We're really engaged in a series of listening right now. So we've been doing kind of what I'm calling a listening tour, and I'm listening to anybody who will talk to me and a couple people who didn't want to. So we're engaged with staff and focus groups. We're engaged with our community members in a variety of ways. This is some of our internal work has focused in our staff members and inviting them into really critical conversations around what are we doing, what can we get better at, where do we want to grow, what structures do we need to do the work ahead of us well. And all of the staff have been engaging well in that. As we move into this year, we have some new structures where every single staff member will be involved in the WASP process, so I'm really proud of that. It's an honor to work at a school where everybody is ready to lean in with us. More recently, we've engaged with our parents and our community. Coming up soon, we have a student focus group surrounding WASP where we're really asking everybody to tell us. We hope you tell us lovely things. We also I hope you tell us critical things and ways we can grow. We had 2 parent focus groups that Ms. MacGyver and I ran over the summer. It was really wonderful to see lots of faces. We ran one in person, we ran one virtually. Mr. Flores was kind enough to join us for one of them online, so it was nice to hit different cross sections of our community and really do some listening. We asked them some questions and we tried, tell us all this stuff. So here's what we're hearing currently as just a quick synthesis. So we asked some people to do some glows and do some grows with us. So a couple glows that we are hearing from our community are, 1, we love how kind, inclusive, and connected this staff is. So no surprise there. They specifically mentioned our teaching staff over and over again, but this is not exclusive to our teaching staff. They're like, geez, even the people like setting up desks are like, hi, how are you today? And I'm like, so they specifically were just so appreciative of how kind. They're like, my kid has a person, my kid feels seen. I know if my kid's having a bad day, someone's gonna check on my kid. And being a parent and knowing how much that matters, it was just wonderful to hear how much that was resonating with our community. Big shout out to our partnership with our community. It's almost like we put it in our mission statement. So very proudly people said like, hey, if I want to get involved here, people are so ready to plug me in. It's easy to get involved. People are approachable. There's lots of pathways. If I work full time and I can't do this like 10 a.m. volunteering, I can volunteer in the evening. There are lots of ways for that to be accessible to me. So a big shout out and really a big kudos to everyone who's been involved in WAVE, because WAVE does a lot of that work with us as well. And then finally, there was a real call out to this, hey, you guys do this mastery-based grading. You guys do this like intentional flex time during the day. That's not something a lot of parents maybe grew up with and experienced in school, but they're like, I see how hard you're working to make sure we're centering actual learning and achievement as opposed to like, what can we do to make sure we get an A? So they said, make sure you don't lose that concentration on mastery as you're working hard to make sure the day is rigorous for our children as well.
That's good.
And then in addition to all those great things they said, they also gave us some critical feedback, which we asked for and appreciate. So no surprise here, one of the critical feedback surrounding like, hey, it's real crowded in the hallway. Have you noticed there's only one bathroom? So of course our facilities are on our parents' mind as they're on our mind as a board. So that's of course a grow for us, hopefully growing into that permanent campus. There's some grows around consistency across departments. They liked our distributed leadership. They respect that we want to empower our teachers. And also they're like, hey, my kid can't always remember in the English department this, in the math department this, and that. So we have maybe some work to do around consistency and making sure like kids get consistent messages and kids get consistent supports throughout the school. I think we're well positioned to do that work this year. We're making sure our departments have time to meet embedded in our workday. We made sure our staff meeting is twice a month, embedded again in our workday, and that expanded time really allows people to have more time to give input as opposed to just receiving information. And I think that was a solid move on the part of the school. And then finally, of course, there's some, hey, we haven't launched graduates yet. So there's some like, hey, I need you to prove to me that when I give you my kid, they can launch successfully from your institution into institutions of higher learning. And I think some of that work is going to be around making sure we capture narratives this year, make sure we capture what pathways students have as we get ready to walk across that stage in not too long. So here's what's coming up ahead for WASC. We have a few critical dates. This again, we do all the things in this year. It's a big year. In the fall of this year, we're really going to be analyzing, capturing our narratives, capturing our feedback some more as we're listening to our community, and we're going to set some goals. WASC as a process asks you to write across different domains and then set goals in those domains as well. So we'll be doing a lot of that work this fall. In February, we submit this big tome to WASC that includes a lot of data, a lot of writing, pictures, maybe some video, and we send them and we say, hey, here's who we are and here's what we do for kids. And then in May they come and they say, is this really who you are? Is this really what you do for kids? And they talk to a lot of people and they pull people at random. So they'll walk into a random class and be like, I want to talk to those 4 kids. Or I want to talk to this teacher over there. So, you know, it's a big event that they come out for. They're not here for a got you, but they're here to make sure that, hey, when we write it down and we say we believe this and we do this, that's really people's lived experience. So if you want to dive deeper into WASC with me, please come see me. There are a couple ways you can get involved here as board members, as community members, as some of your parents. We'd love for you to come on out. There are actually a couple of click-sies on this slide too. I'm so sorry. So we'd love to hear from you, provide your perspective on what the high school's doing well and where we can get better. We'd love to have some critical readers. This is a big document. We'd love to have some people in both the content and the the typo's weird or the wording's weird, Galloway. So please be our critical reader friends. And then of course in that May, you are all invited. We're so happy to have you all as site visit guides. WASC traditionally loves to speak to community members, to board members, to parents. So any and all of you are welcome to come with us. You know, we usually put on a pretty good party. So I'm sure there's going to be food, and I'm sure it'll be a fun day. And then of course, any questions, you're welcome to live now, or you're welcome to email me as well.
Thank you. That's amazing. Go ahead.
I'll never forget doing my WASC interview, circling a track. Because I was at a swim meet, I was at high school sections, and circling, sections, circling a track. Because you talk to WASC when they want to talk to you, right? So
I love a good walk and talk. I circle a track and talk any day. You come down.
They wanted me not just to be focused. I mean, let me just say, my answers were truly from the heart because they were just what was ever flying out of my mouth. It was awesome.
It was probably just what they wanted.
Yeah, I thought it probably worked out perfectly for them. So I definitely encourage all board members to reach out to Dr. Galloway because, I mean, it was a great thing to be part of, and I look forward to being part of it again.
Any questions for Dr. Galloway regarding the WASC process, where we're at, things we're hearing? I'll just take a moment to publicly say thank you so much. I'm telling you what, I could not be more excited about who is leading this work. You are crushing it. People trust you. People are leaning in on this project, not just because they want to be part of Westlake, but because you're leading it. So thank you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
All right, team, we're going from our WASC presentation to somewhere else on the agenda.
Does that conclude your presentation?
That concludes my presentation.
Wow. I wish I had a timer on.
I could do more. I just...
No, it was great. It was, for as much as I am currently teasing you, it was very informational, and I truly did appreciate it. Before we move on to consent, though, will you see if we have any public comments on that?
I will do so.
Maybe someone volunteered.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, there it is.
So May is a rough month. The first week of May sounds a little tough.
Seeing no comments.
Right? May will be fun. With that brings us to our consent agenda. As I mentioned during my governance committee report, I will point out that certainly we will take any questions. We can discuss anything from A through J. Feel free to pull. I would ask that whoever makes the motion or that the motion be modified for item I. The numbering is correct. We just want to make sure we did put some updates into the board packet, and we'll be adopting that version. And then for item J, we're just gonna go back to our old numbering system, and it would be 12-01. We're gonna drop the 0.24. Governance had a very good deep dive into the history of the numbering of our policies. And that deep dive will continue.
That's fine.
So for now, we're not gonna touch it, and we'll just let it be. But certainly, the committee, anyone in the committee could, to speak to those two, if you have questions. If not, one's a whole brand new policy, and J is amendments, both of those being effective as of August 1st, so they're slightly retroactive. With that, are there any questions on items A through J? Seeing none, is there, wait, no, I'll break the trend. I will move the consent agenda
I'll second.
with
Amber?
the changes I mentioned, Amy, so we can review that. And then Amber was second.
Okay. Okay, Hope,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Meredith,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Nurali,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and is absent.
Thank you. That brings us to our action item for tonight, which is item A, accept and approve certificated one-time fund allocation proposal. As a reminder, I'm going to ask our staff members, Mrs. Rice and Dr. Galloway, to not participate on this item or vote on it due to pressing conflict issues. Is there any presentation for this?
There's no presentation, there's a board brief.
I just want to make sure. I don't want to cut you off.
Finance and kind of what the process that finance took last year, leading up to tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
And Sean, did you have nothing? I mean,
I don't have anything to add.
Perfect.
But yeah, happy to take questions if people have questions.
so are there either any questions or a motion to approve?
I will move.
I will
Second.
second.
Oh, Josh trying to get there.
Mind you, the two finance committee members both wanted a second.
Yeah.
Hope,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Meredith, abstain.
I will abstain.
Thank you.
Amber,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Nurali,
Yes.
Amy.
Abstaining.
Motion
I should have
carries.
checked for public comment before we put it.
It's okay. I just checked moments prior and there were
I know,
none.
I just corrected.
And there are still
That
none.
way if anyone watching from home wanted to chime in real fast.
Yep, there are currently no comments in the inbox. And as the motion carries, I would just like to say thank you to the board for supporting our certificated staff, and we'll be working to do something similar for our classified staff as well. So thank you for your support.
It's funny how quickly the meeting's gonna go once we get through all our learning time. But on that note, in terms of future agenda items, and this was alluded to earlier in the meeting, we are continuing to receive policies back from our legal counsel at YMC. Those are in a governance package for tonight, so you can certainly look through that folder. Just know that all those will be trickling up to the board after discussion and governance. They'll often, I believe, because of the timeline and the number of them, be going to governance the same night they come to the board. Normally we put some time in between, but with the sheer number of them, I don't know that that's gonna work this time. So just know that those are all coming through. If you wanna do some legwork now and read them, you can. If you wanna wait until they're actually in your packet, that's fine too. I just wanted to alert you to that work. I mean, John, it's substantial, and so there will be a lot of that coming forward. We've had, the last two legislative cycles have been very, very active, and you're seeing the ramifications of that now, and you'll see a lot of, I think, actually changes even to our website due to disclosures and postings that we have to do now. So there's just a lot coming in that regard. Any other future agenda items you want to?
Well, I certainly think board goals, executive director goals come into play. I think as we go away today, we have some standing goals, but I'd love to have some conversation early in the fall, September, around, hey, what do we want to achieve this year? I mean, I know we had a big year last year with the finalizing the purchase of the parcel and a lot of legwork around the facilities use agreement in hopes that there would be a passage of a bond. We believe that Natomas Unified School District is not going to go out for a local bond at this point, but we are watching the state ballot, and we are also working with some consultants to look into, how to apply for charter grant funding for construction projects as well. So I just put that out there as we We had a busy year last year. We're going to stay busy on that front, knowing that it's one of our grows, right, in WASC. But love for you to be scratching on and thinking about what goals do you have for this board this year, and what goals do you have for the executive director this year, and committees. Maybe I know the committees are all, have their agendas set as well, so committees be reflecting on what they want to be working on this year.
Governance is policy.
Yeah, well, you got your work cut out for you.
It's gonna be the season. With that, we'll get to a reflection. What worked well, what would be better if, no prize for going first, but I'd really appreciate it. Mrs. Rice.
I will go. I loved having Felix here to report on WAVE, that he had numbers of parents who had signed up, and you could actually visualize the percentages and the number, like it was very real. And so I just want to appreciate the work that he and his skeleton crew, as
Yeah.
he said, like they're doing some real rebuilding, I think, of this program that has been very successful for us and is so fundamental to what we do. And so I just so much gratitude for that. Like reflecting upon it, I'm like, it was good. It was good to hear from him.
Yeah, love it.
Suzanne?
I appreciated Dr. Galloway's presentation on WASC. It's good to hear. You know, it's a lot of work, and it's wonderful that you're taking that on. But it is such a great celebration of what everything that Westlake's doing. So thank you for that.
Sean?
Kind of ditto on that. Dr. Galloway's presentation was it was really good. I also participated in the initial accreditation interviews with. I was not walking around the track, but I was virtually on the call with Hope. So it's nice to see that coming around again in the permanent sense.
Reflections. I think I want to piggyback off of Mrs. Rice because I think Felix is, I don't know if anyone is involved in the WAVE Facebook group, but I love the video we posted.
I heard about the video.
And just like, as I was walking there, that's my first, I had like 4 other people after me, and even before me saying the same thing, and that was just such a great feeling to see as a parent. I also love, as always, love the board briefs. I just also really appreciate how finance does work so closely with Steve when you guys are explaining things and just kind of really breaking down why we're doing what we're doing step by step. And it's great because I'm not involved in that committee and it's something that's interesting. So just love the constant communication between all members here. Appreciate it.
I also appreciated the WASC update. Thank you so much. It was great to hear kind of what's going on, and in the history piece too, like, oh yeah, all these things happen. But also the TAMO update tonight. I know we learn more, and when we know more, we do better with that. And I think we'll come out and we'll do better, right? And so we'll come back and say, okay, how do we get better at, not just reporting so the dashboard looks nice, right? But actually like doing better at the data reporting piece. So yeah, it's good. Thank you.
I'm just gonna say thank you to you and your staff and all the teachers. We know it's not easy. You hear everything that you guys go through on a daily basis. There's always the passion there. And it's not just about the kids, it's about the whole family. And whatever we can do to try to support that, we want to be a part of. But just wanted to say thank you. Put it on the record.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I think like similar to Nurali, I think I learn something every time I come, every time I read a brief. Steve's ability to break down finance is just second to none. I'm like, oh, I do understand this. Oh, good. I learned a lot about teacher credentialing tonight. I thought I knew some things. I didn't know those things. So that was great too. It's a fun place to work. It's a fun place to be part of. And I forgot to say one of my celebrations, so can I say it
Please
now?
go ahead.
Sorry to be that person. I want to celebrate Nate Allen at the high school who literally saved someone's life at this school. Someone was choking and Nate came across And then like went back to like business as usual. Like, you okay? Okay, great. And then like sat down. Like that was just what he does on a casual Wednesday.
Yeah.
So shout out.
It was a staff member.
It was a staff
A
member.
staff member was
Yes.
choking on a piece of food, and a first person attempted a Heimlich maneuver. It was not successful. Nate Allen stepped right in, was like, "Let's move
Cool
along,
as a
people."
cucumber.
It was like, yeah, big guy, big guy, yeah,
So
big fan.
he's wonderful for a lot of reasons. If you don't know Nate Allen,
Yeah.
get to know him.
Wow.
But this is
Everybody be
one
friends
of
with
the
Nate
many
Allen.
reasons.
Yeah, great shout out, great shout out.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. I think we learned a ton tonight. I always enjoy learning about the first five because I think it's just a fantastic thing that we do, and just hearing about all the stuff that the entire staff is learning together, right? It's not just in different groups, and some people come for longer days and some people just show up the day of. It's just that commitment. We're all gonna learn the same thing. We're gonna be on the same page. It's that consistency. Yeah, it's awesome.
I love it.
Your presentation worked really well for me tonight. I know I joke about the length of them. It's a long-standing joke, however, for people who maybe are new and watching from home. It's gone on for a long time. We did at one point
Over a decade.
actually record the length of time and keep track. But I try, in my role, I try really hard to stay on top of the changes that are coming through you name it, right? I try really hard, and it's impossible. And so I just want to acknowledge that you can't catch everything. It's constantly changing, and the fact that you're willing to come present and teach us, I mean, you educate us, and we so need that. And then you're taking responsibility for that, but at the same time, I want to reflect back that it's a whole village of people who would have missed it or didn't have the opportunity to learn it, who are dealing with a bunch of crises in 2021. Right, just a few. And so how much I appreciate that, and we'll just move forward.
Yep, thank you. Well, right back at you, I was going to celebrate. What worked for me is, from a policy standpoint, having a policy expert working with Hope as our board president. We're super lucky because, we have this Title IX policy is brand spanking new, straight from the ledge, and it's duplicative of some of the previous policy that was in the other policy we passed tonight. I mean, it takes a Hope to tease it all out. I mean, I can read. I'm reading like, what is this even saying? So having you on the board, so helpful for me as we publish new policy, because having it going for your brain first, it helps my brain kind of figure it out. So thank you.
Well, on that note, before we adjourn, we need to go back to consent, because I just noticed that I missed something.
This is the number 2402?
Yes, sir.
It's okay. It's just a mere number.
Well, I just want to put it on the record.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone has an issue with it, then go ahead and reflect, Ms. Wells, and then
I get to
I will
bring
take
it
care of my
up
problem.
again. It takes a ton of work to put the board meeting together every month. Not on my part. I just do a little piece. Steve does a huge piece. John does a huge piece. Everybody does a huge piece, and it takes a team to put this together. But this particular board meeting, it took a huge team to put this together because some of our materials went missing over the summer.
We couldn't find
anything, and it was an hour of looking. And I want to thank Melissa,
Poncho,
Jose,
Polanco,
our librarian,
Block,
was
Jessica
involved.
Carissa Block, our intern.
Ashley Cahigas. It literally took 8 people behind the scenes to find pieces that made this meeting.
Yeah, there's a little tablecloths right here.
And your binders, in case they went missing over the summer. Lots happens over the summer. So I would just really like to thank everybody who helped us be successful tonight.
Okay, so just a real fast note, because you've approved the policy and this is a ministerial change, so we're not going to re-vote on it. But just so you know, the Title IX policy prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sex will actually be numbered 24-02, because I forgot to take into account our restraint policy that we adopted early this year, the actual 2401. So to not have 2 2401s, this one will be 02.
Wait, so you're telling me that when we create a board policy and we number it, the first number is the year that it was published originally, and the second number means it's the first policy of that year? That's what these numbers mean that I learned tonight after 11 years of
But
doing this
then
job?
we learned that no.
We haven't consistently done it always.
Sometimes it's the first
first year in the academic year in which the policy was, it's complicated, hence the rabbit hole, hence the just sticking with the numbers they already have. But I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that when you see it on our list of board policies moving forward, it will be board policy 2402.
So this one was the 13th policy in 07, 08.
So it was actually adopted in 08.
Well, that's kind of cool. I mean, like, so now we know, like, oh, this is in 012, that's not a number, 2012, the second policy published in 2012.
And we also learned that Dr. Ike, when he
How dare
numbered
you not know that?
policies, used the month, the date, and the year.
I put the
all in
month, the date,
policy.
year, and like I create a nickname and a hashtag for it, so I'm just kidding. Yes.
So,
A zodiac sign, right? There's like emojis in there. Yes. You clearly
so
I
we
did
had
one.
this whole, I mean, part of the reason why we were changing the numbers and we went back to 1201, I'll just, in a way of a little bit background here at the end of the meeting, was we wanted to have a quick way, if people looked at our policies, to know we had recently touched something, right? And how to make it very apparent that, for instance, we just touched our policy against discrimination, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. But knowing that these policies are often referred to in our charter document and as well as other documents, it just makes sense to go ahead and let their numbers, regardless of how they were set, to live in that moment in time. And what we'll likely add after is like the effective date of that policy. So then we know when it applied. And if it wasn't applicable at the time something was raised, for instance, there's a footnote in one of the policies tonight saying anything that happened before August 1st of this year would be under the old policy. We'll know to go looking for it that way. So we're adapting and being cognizant of trying to make sure that those who have come after us can follow our work and use it.
We officially known as NerdFest 2024.
Well, you brought up
Well,
my
we're
strengths,
I know,
and
we're
this
super
is
into
like
it.
a
I'm into
passion
it.
of mine.
I love
so, But with that, it brings us to adjournment at 8:02, so that doesn't suck.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And close out the YouTubes here. Do, 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 do.
Can I ask a question? Is there a reason we don't use the revision date as like the most?
Oh, that's what I said, Sam.